What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. I am Harrison and you are here for Tutorial Tuesday. The setup is a little different. I've reconfigured my office space, so I know it might look a little different, but I think this is going to be the look moving forward. Behind me might change, I'm still getting everything a little figured out, but I just wanted a change of space, a change of scenery here. And yeah, so to get that out of the way, that's what's happening now. But today I am really excited for this tutorial. I have recently come to find this game and really fall in love with it. It is Hollow Knight. I know it's been a great big buzz lately. The second game just came out, so I'm excited to draw this character. The game has been fun, so I know that drawing this character will be just as fun. So grab your pencils, pens, sketchbooks, and your swords, and let's dive on into this one. So in the center of your page, you're gonna start with a nice big round circle. Just below that circle, you're gonna start to make a really stretched out letter C, and then kind of shape it into like the bottom part of a banana. And then from there, we're gonna stretch that over across, and it's almost, how do you describe it? It's kind of like drawing a letter R, and just that like top rounded bit part of it, and then you'll swoop it up, and these will be Hollow Knight's feet. And then you can connect that, shape the knee, and then just drive that line right up. The next step is to draw kind of a lemon-ish shape, almond shape that goes right in the center of the circle, through the center of the circle, and then just barely into that top part of the body shape. This is going to be his scarf. If you want to start giving it a little bit of like separation just to show the areas that it needs to go, you can give it that W kind of shaping. To plot the shape of what I would assume are his antlers, we're going to draw an ellipses shape, and we're going to do that on either side, mirroring both shapes. And we really want those shapes to be on the exact same plane, so make sure that they are even height. If you need to draw a guideline across the top to make sure that they hit that height so that one isn't higher than the other, please go ahead and do that. Now off on the right side of the page, in his left hand, we're going to draw his sword or his spear, whatever he is using. You're going to basically draw a cone shape. The bottom will be rounded, and it just kind of goes off into a point. I didn't have enough room on my page, so it exceeds the paper, but on your page, if you have enough room, just, you're going to draw a cone, and it's just going to meet at the tip. And then just to get his eyes dashed on there, they're just two big circles that take up most of that face, right in that lower half of the initial circle that we drew. Now, the last thing we'll do before we jump into the details is draw those internal shapes of those antlers so that we know how thick we need them to go. Again, these shapes are going to be mirrored on either side, so you're going to draw two C shapes that are inside of that initial like blob thing that we drew first. And then we can't forget his little hand under his scarf or cloak, whatever it is. So moving along, we're going to start at the top and just start defining our shapes here. Starting with those antlers. His antlers at the very top kind of have like, almost, they look like a hand, like if you're wearing mittens at the very top, like little crab hand kind of things. And again, that will be mirrored on the other side. The top of his head isn't round. It does have very slight rounding to it. It is more flat than anything. So make sure when you go across to the other antler that there is some sort of a bump and it's not completely smooth. Again, that same sentiment does apply to the rest of the head. The head is not a circle. I know we did draw a circle for the reference, the shaping, but it is very boxy. So you really want to elongate that sides of the face, making sure that it's straight, and then it comes to almost like a jawline, and it's not really rounded off, and it's not quite as exaggerated as a box. So just kind of map it down, come down, come in, and then you'll give it a chin. And then you can define those eyeballs, shade them in if you would like. Now moving on to the cloak or the scarf, it's going to be a series of layered shapes. They're roughly all the same shape. It's just a different pattern of layering them and seeing which way they go. I looked at a reference on my computer screen. I have a reference image pulled up of actual Hollow Knight with the cloak and the pattern. So if you want to be screen accurate to the character, I would suggest following a reference. If you want to kind of wing it and put your own pattern design into it, you can do that as well. Basically what I did was I followed the shaping of the cloak. When we initially split it in two, we kind of made that W shape, and one section kind of swoops to the left and the other smaller one swoops to the right. And in there, it's just about layering different strips and pieces of that fabric on top of each other and seeing how they weave and making them look kind of three-dimensional. And then for the body, we're not really changing a whole lot. I'm really happy with the way that that body shape looks, so we're just going to shade it in and call it a day, and we'll jump on into inking. So today I am using a dip pen and brush to ink Hollow Knight here. You do not need to use a dip pen and brush by any means, but I know that I prefer the technique and the quality of inks that I get out of it, but please feel free to use a Sharpie, a Micron, a black Prismacolor pencil, a thicker pencil, whatever you would like to ink your drawing. Feel free to do that. It is your drawing after all. Never let the tool dictate the outcome of your piece. If you do not have these tools, do not feel like you need to go buy them unless you are wanting them and you're willing to take the time to learn them, which I do recommend. And in the future, I will put out a video on how to ink with a dip pen and brush. I know I've been saying it for a while. It is on my to-do list. I promise I will get there. But trust me, you can get all of this inking done with a Micron, a Sharpie, whatever you have at home. So as always, starting left to right, top to bottom, I am going to go through and ink Hollow Knight here. I know I do kind of break my rule and ink the bottom of the face before I get to everything else. I kind of jump around a little bit in this one. I think I already kind of knew that as I started inking and just kind of went with it, but sometimes that's what happens. So before we jump into the erasing, I just want to say, I'm sure you saw me like swipe ink on the body of Hollow Knight as I was inking the rest. What I was doing there was just putting a little bit of excess ink down instead of risking it dripping somewhere else or being too filled on the brush while I was inking like that little bit of the hand or the arm. That's a technique that you can use to place a glob of ink that may fall off and create an issue elsewhere that will be eventually be inked. But that's why I did that, so we'll save that for the full-on inking tutorial later on. But into the erasing, I did wait about 15 to 20 minutes for this piece to dry before I jumped in there with my needed eraser. And the last little bit of fun that we're gonna have here today is give Hollow Knight a nice background, make him really pop off that page and exciting and something fun and vibrant. So I took a nice deep blue and put a big border box behind him. And I really think that this blue gives Hollow Knight a really good sense of depth. It's really dark, it contrasts to his black body, his white head, and it really just frames him nicely, makes him explode off the page as he's in this action pose. And I think putting this behind your piece really emphasizes the character and the work that you're doing. If you would like to do this step, please do it. If not, it's all good. I just think adding some bit of color to an image really just kind of emphasizes it and makes it seem a little bit more dynamic than just a black and white image on a page. But my friends, that is it. That is all it takes to draw Hollow Knight. I know it's a very quick and easy drawing. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. I really did. It was so much fun to draw Hollow Knight. I love the game. I love this character. I might revisit Hollow Knight as a drawing later on. Maybe we'll do a cool piece with him. It's just super simple, but there's so much fun you can have here. If you enjoyed today's lesson, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And once you do, hit that bell notification so you know when I upload the next tutorial Tuesday. If for some reason you did not enjoy today's lesson, please let me know down in the comments why that is, because I want you to know how to draw the characters that you want to know how to draw and know how to draw the way that makes sense to you. And on that note, if there is a character that you have yet to see in the playlist, please let me know who that is and I will gladly add them to the list, as well as other things that you're looking. If you want to know how to draw torsos, bodies, arms, hands, feet, things like that, please let me know and I'd be happy to make extensive tutorials on those as well. Thank you again for joining me. Make sure you follow me on social media. Check out all the things I'm doing day to day, as well as the other tips and tricks I'm posting frequently. Make sure you tag me on Instagram and TikTok and update me with all of the drawings that you're doing and learning from these Tutorial Tuesdays. I would love to see the progress that you're making. We're almost hit a year with Tutorial Tuesday, and I would love to see your progress from day one to a year in. Please tag me. I would love to see them and comment and see all of the things that you're working on. Again, thank you for joining me. I had a blast. I hope you did as well. I will see you back here next week for another awesome tutorial. Bye, guys.